Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Friday morning, first video of the day. We're going to play some of your voicemails regarding Eric's apology and the sort of outing that happened 2 days ago where it was exposed he did a Jimi Hendrix blackface costume, which was a photo that was uploaded to his high school yearbook, his senior year of high school in Bedminster, New Jersey. He apologized yesterday about 24 hours after that photo was uploaded. Some people thought his apology was okay. Some thought it wasn't. There's a wide spectrum of how people think about this. You know, what I like about this channel is we don't shy away from differencing of opinions, respectfully, of course. If you're a white person who goes, no need to apologize, like that ain't it. That ain't it. But I think what's good about these types of scenarios, there's obviously nothing good about reliving and rehashing someone's ugly moments, but the good that can come from it is the discourse, the conversation. Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. We always say that, and we have to live by that. So because of that, we open up the voicemail lines and listen to you and listen to what you have to say. And as you guys know, if you've been part of some live streams and some other videos, it ain't all Pat and Dave on the back. That's not what we're here for. I'm going to play a voicemail that gently eviscerates me. I'm going to play a voicemail that in some other voicemails, and I gracefully respect everyone's opinion, and I'll respond. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I'll be going live on Patreon right after this at 10 a.m. today, patreon.com/Dave Neal. I got to be honest, I'm a little under the weather. It's got nothing to do with this story. If you've followed my social media, you know I've had tons of stand-up shows, and my body and immune system's feeling it. But as my history teacher always told me, you can blow your nose from home or you can do it in the classroom. Now, luckily, I'm not trying to spread any germs. You can't, we're socially distanced is my point. All right, so let's get into the voicemails. Here we go. First voicemail.
It's T from Ontario. Thanks again for covering this topic. I do really appreciate it. Just wanted to share some of my thoughts as a Black woman on Eric in blackface. I think he can apologize, but the damage has already been done. Just think of the BIPOC and Black students who saw that picture be printed in their yearbook, the ones who saw Eric in person in blackface, and the hurt that would have caused. The damage is already there. It is disappointing that this was approved in the yearbook, but I think it's even more disappointing that he wasn't stopped by an adult, a parent or a teacher, as soon as they saw that he was in blackface. Like, why was he allowed to leave the house in blackface? That's so disappointing. If people do want to use the excuse that he was young and didn't know better, which I disagree with, why did an adult not stop him? And lastly, just for people who don't quite understand why this is so hurtful, blackface is mocking someone else's oppression. For white people, if you're putting on blackface, you can take that off. Black people don't get that choice. They're experiencing racism and hate and discrimination on a daily basis in some way, shape, or form. And for someone to mock that is just so deeply hurtful. So that's my thoughts. Thanks again for covering this topic. Really appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you, T in Ontario. I really appreciate your voicemail. And as we now know, whether you believe him or not is up to you. But he says he was dressing as Jimi Hendrix, someone he idolized. He now realizes it's wrong. We already played his apology video. It is not my place to necessarily, obviously, accept or even speak on behalf of how others should feel about his apology. That's not what I'm here for. I'm just here to give you my commentary and kind of link it all together. Katie in Iowa, you're up.
Hi, Dave. This is Katie in Pella, Iowa. I'm calling in about Eric's high school photo. First off, I just feel so bad for this poor guy who's dealing with the loss of his father very recently. Not saying that blackface is okay or anything like that, but my husband also lost his father in May due to cancer.
Sorry to hear that.
And, that's a long process to go through. And he's probably dealing with a lot right now, and now he's going to have the internet coming for him. And secondly, as a parent to a couple kids, when these kinds of stories come out, I personally just get so nervous that I need to be raising these children that need to be so informed and knowledgeable about everything and never we all make mistakes, but it's kind of nerve-wracking to think that these pictures or things that you might do when your brain is still growing and developing at 14 to 18 can come back and haunt you when you're 25 to 30. But obviously we need to educate and do the best we can. But this definitely makes me nervous for the kids of our future, and just trying to do the best we can. But I appreciate you covering this story and having the grace that you always do. Love and appreciate your content, Dave. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks so much for the call. I can't quite understand what someone would feel as a mom, but I know as an older brother, I have a brother who's 18 years younger than me, and I always wonder, like, what would he do, or could he get caught up in a wrong group or not have the right moral compass? I wonder that, absolutely. Now, like I always say, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. You can feel bad for Eric because his father passed away since the filming of this episode. His dad died last month. You can feel bad for him, absolutely, and still hold him accountable. Those two things can happen. My hope for Eric and for his family is that he's able to use the time to grieve for his dad's death and all of that, and also get away from the negativity, because you can't control other people's opinions. All you can do is try to be better moving forward. Use Rachel Kirkconnell as an example. She didn't make excuses. She just used her platform to try to change the discussion as much as possible, which in some ways is what I try to do. I don't say that in a way to virtue signal, but we try to move the discussion forward.
Hey Dave, this is Emily in LA, first time, long time. I just watched your video about Eric and basically how blackface is a much larger problem in our society throughout history. I really appreciated how you couched him in 2012 and what was going on in the media, because the media perpetuates a lot of these issues. I thought it was a really thoughtful way of tackling this story. All right. See you later. Bye.
Thanks. I mean, look, here's my strategy. It's not to be apologetic for mistakes that were made, but just to say, because I've had people say, hey, I knew better in 2004. I knew better in 1997, and I'm happy. I want to be in a place where everybody knows better. That's where I want to be. So I appreciate the people that knew better, but for the people that didn't know better, well, Billy Crystal did it in 2012. Jane Krakowski did it. It wasn't taken down on 30 Rock and The Office until 2020. So absolutely, that doesn't make it right. It just makes it reminds us that we shouldn't have revisionary history. We should know that it was loud and out there in our time, which is important to know. It's important to know that, so that when we move forward, we can actually discuss this and say it ain't over.
Hi, Dave.
And by the way, this next voicemail I absolutely love. She's always very strongly challenging my where I'm coming from, and I really, really appreciate that. It really helps the dialogue to not just have 10 voicemails that are people patting me on the back. So give it to me. I appreciate you. Keep calling in. Thank you so much in advance.
Calling regarding the Eric blackface situation. Okay, I'm a black woman. Where is your outrage? I watched you blow a gasket on about the Clickbait podcast and Katie Thurston. You proceeded to try to take down that show, Joe and Natasha.
Oh, hold on. We lost it. Hold on one second.
But let a white man dress up in blackface and you want me to give him some time to apologize to see what he's going to do. You haven't said anything denouncing that network, that show. What is it going to take for white content creators like yourself to back away from this show? What is it going to take, Dave? How much? You haven't seen a murder on what? What is it going to take? Bye.
Thank you so much for the call. I really appreciate you. The difference that I see it with the Katie Thurston scenario, with Bachelor Happy Hour, and all of the Bachelor podcasts, Nick Viall, essentially conflating Katie and Blake and all these other things. The way I see it is those were blatant lies. Those were blatant twists of information done in a way to win over their point. They took what Katie said and they reimagined it and put words in her mouth, and all I did was call it out as complete bullshit. This situation's a little different. Now, this situation is different in the sense that I don't know if boycotting this show will fix anything. We live in a time, and so that's where I respectfully disagree when you say, where's the outrage? I don't know if that's the proper a tool for me to use right now. So I can get mad and yell and all that, but you have to realize, like, what I do as a stand-up comic when I'm on stage, I got to know when to shout, I got to know when to pull back, I got to know when to be quiet and draw out my point, and I have to know when the audience is ramped up to hear me at a different volume. So those are different tools and instruments that are used just through talking and communicating. The problem we have now, as I see it, is that we got our heads dug in the sand. We have a sort of virtual or a spiritual civil war happening where people are burying their head in the sand, saying there is no problem. And then there's other people shouting from a rooftop saying, see, this problem exists. And it does exist. Now, our audience is across the spectrum, from very liberal to very conservative and everywhere in between. We have people that have their head dug in the sand, that live in a cul-de-sac, that don't think there's a problem. And then we have people yelling there is a problem to an audience that doesn't want to hear it. No, everything's perfectly fine. So where I come from in sort of a Trojan horse way is that I have moms and sisters and people that are out there, you guys, breastfeeding, doing the dishes, vacuuming, getting your kids to soccer, that might hear from my voice something that they might not hear from yours. And that's not necessarily equality, but that's what's out there. The fact that I can touch people in a way that other people can't through maybe I just look like somebody else and I can say, hey guys, this ain't right. We're not here to say that this was right. We're here to move forward and do better and all that. So when you ask me where the outrage is, I'm not surprised, excuse me, when these photos come out, because I don't live in a delusional world where I thought this didn't exist. I come from a place that's a pretty close-minded community. It's a very nice community. It's just a rural, suburban New England community. When I studied abroad in Europe, when I moved to New York and lived in inner cities in both New York and Boston and Los Angeles, when I moved to these different places and rubbed elbows with people of different socioeconomic backgrounds, different skin colors, people that speak different languages, when I lived in France, when George Bush was in an unjust war or sending us into an unjust war, I was exposed to people that didn't think America was the greatest country in the world. I was exposed to all these beliefs that I thought I had that not everybody agreed with. And through that intermingling and through conversation, I've grown a lot, I believe, as a person. So if I boycotted the show, I would be turning my back on people that might not be where you are and where some others are, but might be very close. And I know people say, well, Dave, you donate to one teacher a day. It's not a big deal. What's the big deal? Well, what if I'm the one who 2, 3, 4 people can change their mind and be a little bit more empathetic, and where's the ripple effect there? That's the way I see it. And so respectfully, when you ask where I am with my outrage, I don't think outrage is necessarily a vehicle for change in this medium. I think outrage would get a lot of clapter and people that agree with me, which is fine. But those aren't the people we're trying to communicate with. So thank you so much for the call.
Hi, Dave.
Oh, we just got that one. I appreciate you.
Hey, Dave, it's Tracy from Kansas City. I'm watching your video here about Eric Schwal and this blackface yearbook photo. It's interesting to me that so many of the things that you showed were all from 2012, including, I think you said, his yearbook photo. So, I'm not dismissing it at all, but it seems to me that it was culturally normalized, I guess, back in 2012. And when you know better, you do better. So here we are in 2022. We know better. We try to do better. And I'm hoping that he comes out with an apology that, listen, I'm a dumb kid, not exposed to a lot of, people from different races, probably I know where he grew up in New Jersey and what it's like there. And I think he just needs to apologize and say, hey, listen, I didn't realize back then that it was the wrong thing to do, but I know it is now, and it's a high school yearbook. It's not like he can go back and have the picture taken out of there. He has no control over that. So, we all need to be more careful, obviously, of the choices that we make and be more sensitive to the way our choices affect people from different races. So I'm interested to see how all of this is covered and what happens with it going forward.
And of course,
have a great day.
Thank you so much. Of course, his voicemail came in before his apology. And yeah, the reason I shared images from 2012, it's because it's easy to say, oh, in 1993, Ted Danson, it's like, but Hollywood didn't know better. And it's like, well, people are still making stupid mistakes. Call it racist. Ignorance isn't an excuse for it. Not at all. But let's just not pretend like it didn't exist. All right, today's teacher is Jamie Lee. I'm going to post a link in the comments section. She is I believe teaches theater, and she's got a wish list. Again, she's our teacher of the day. Let's use some energy for good and support her. You can buy any of these items that are on her Amazon wish list, and they'll go directly to her and help out her theater classroom. So Jamie Lee is our Friday teacher of the day. We've got about a dozen teachers left. We're going to get through the rest of September. Okay, a couple more voicemails. Here, I know we're running a little behind here.
Hey, Dave. I'm from San Francisco, and I'm the mother of a black son.
Last two.
And I appreciate your thoughtful comments, and that's why I know you will happily update your information. I was just listening to your YouTube on blackface, and I just want to let you know the Black Lives Matter movement actually started in 2013. Historically, you quoted it as 2020 with George Floyd, but it actually came about after Trayvon Martin. And, I think the wider view shifted after 2020. In fact, my son was racially attacked in San Francisco.
So sorry.
By the police department in 2015. And, attitudes shifted towards even his attack. And so I've been doing anti-racist work actually since Oscar Grant in Oakland. So there was a movement, and that was prior to Trayvon Martin. But I just, hopefully you can let your audience know and maybe make a correction. I'd appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the call. Yeah, no, I mean, I clearly misspoke. I knew the Black Lives Matter didn't come out of nowhere. It obviously started, like you said, in 2013, or maybe it's not obvious. And of course, hit complete critical threshold right in the center of the pandemic, which was, also when you had basically a decade of Twitter, hashtags becoming more popular, and body camera footage becoming more relevant, more accessible. So these things didn't start in 2013. These problems always existed, probably in ways we'll never fully understand. We now see the footage and it's in our face. So absolutely, I really appreciate your phone call and ability to communicate to me the correction. Thank you so much. I do have a few more voicemails. I can't get to all of them right now, so I'll try to play them maybe on our next live stream or whenever I can. But thank you so much for everyone who contributed to this conversation. I really appreciate you. Please feel free to keep it going in the comments section, or if you want, you can call the voicemail line. I don't know when our next voicemail will be, but it's 213, I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Here it is, 213, 401-213-9828. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Bye, guys.